You know how they used to say, they still say it, men aren't like men used to be. Men are more like boys and unskilled, and they used to say, man, they just don't make that quality of man anymore. They're just not as handy and stuff, right? To an extent, I can agree. But there's a part of me that actually sympathizes with some of the younger generation. I was this weekend. I just got done making that video where I was talking about oil and stuff like that, right? So I'm sitting out front of the house and I'm responding to everybody and stuff like that. And I vape. I was vaping, relaxing, enjoying a Diet Pepsi, and I see across the street in the yard, these guys are contractors. I mean, these guys are mid 40s, 50s, and he brings out this big double air tank, like a construction type air compressor with a Honda engine and stuff on it. And these guys are, man, they're having at it. They're just cranking and cranking and cranking and cranking, and this thing won't fire, won't do anything, right? You know me, I'm sitting there just smiling away and stuff like that, thinking to myself, oh hell, this is comical. Then the four men get tired, and the young kid, 19, 20 years old, they say, I hear the guy tell him, crank that for a little bit, pull on that, see if it'll start. And the kid's sitting there and he's cranking and he's cranking and he's cranking and he's cranking. I probably let this go on for about 15 minutes, the four of them, the four men going, and then passing it off to the 19, 20-year-old guy. He's not a kid, but you get what I'm saying. No disrespect to young guys. He gave it a go. So what's going on, boys? How you doing? You guys having a little trouble there? They all turn around and look at me, and you know, the first thing you get from somebody you never spoke to or another man's getting in your business is, who the hell's this guy? The guy says, yeah, we're just trying to get to the start. I says, hey, you mind if I come in? Sure, come on. Like, they're, who's this guy that just walks up out of nowhere and just, it's all in our business. So I walk in, and as they get closer to this motor, I smell this old fuel. And I know there's probably some kind of ethanol, tarnished, this and that and everything else. And I said, you don't mind me asking, how long has that fuel been sitting in there? He says, well, about 4 years. I haven't started it in 4 years, and I've had this little bit of fuel in there for the last 4 years. And I said, you got any fresh fuel? And he says, yeah, I got a little can in there. I says, why don't you grab that little can of fresh fuel and get me something to drain this fuel off in this tank. Pull a little fuel hose, drain it into the little pail, hook everything back up, dump some fresh fuel in there, and he comes over there like he wants to start cranking it again. I said, no, wait a second, we're not done yet. I said, you see that little bowl down there in the bottom of that carburetor? It's got a drain hole, and then it's got an actual bolt that goes through the center of it that holds the bowl and everything up, or the bolt holds the bowl up. And he, give me a 10mm wrench real quick. They're all surrounding me now. I got 5 of these guys around me, and I'm down on the ground, and they're all standing up there watching me. One guy is Polish. The other 4 guys are Hispanic, and then his kid is, I think, the mother's. I've seen her before. She's just as country can be, and so the kid's got a little mix in him and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, all this diversity right here and this manlyhood going on. We got 6 people trying to start this thing and can't get it started. And I'm thinking to myself, how men, young and old, how much they just really don't know about simple things that are going on in the world. They could save them so much time and money just by being just a little handy and just a little knowledgeable about working things, mechanical things that you would think men would be interested in, right? So I think back to that typical stereotype about men just aren't like they used to be anymore. And I think to myself, well, over the last 10 years of me growing up and learning things and being in the trades and wanting to be around the older men, the 60s and 70s and stuff like that, the 60, 70-year-olds that, man, they've seen everything. I mean, they come up with the horses pulling the plows through the field and stuff like that. I'm thinking to myself, I've probably learned more from those guys than I have the guys in their 40s and 50s. And I got a story about that soon. But I've still learned a lot from those guys as well, trust me, because they're part of what groomed me to be the person I am today, and I still continually learn every day. So I take that 10mm wrench, and I crack that bolt loose that's holding the bowl up. The rest of the stuff drains out of the bowl. I pull it down, and I said, "You see all that nasty, slimy film that's all rolled up and stuff in there? See all that tarnish and nasty grime? You got any brake clean?" He said, "Yeah, I got some brake clean." So he brings me out some non-chlorinated brake clean, the stuff that takes forever to dry. Smells almost sweet. It worked though. Sprayed the bowl and stuff out, sprayed up inside the needle valve, cleaned the floating stuff off, put everything back together, and then there's a filter. There's like a secondary, it's like a bowl that's right next to it. I pulled that out as well, cleaned the filter and stuff out, put all that back together, and then around the carburetor, or around the spark plug, there's a little piece of rubber, and you can tell something at some time has been changed on that, because that rubber looks like it went to an old ignition wire, but somebody at some point upgraded it or changed it out. So I cleaned all that garbage and stuff around the spark plug, put everything back, and I mean, this was quick. This took all of 5 minutes to do, not even. I says, "Go ahead and pull that thing." Well, he reaches down there and he goes to pull it, and he didn't even make it a quarter of a crank through. That thing fired right up and ran like it was brand new. And I go back to thinking, like, I'm blessed, man. I really am blessed to have the people around me, the people in my life and stuff like that, the people that I grew up with, that mentored me, all the hard spots and stuff that I've been in, to learn just basic, simple stuff to get me through in life. They all just, "Oh my God, this guy's a genius." No, I'm not a genius. Just learn some basic mechanical skills. Be interested in something that may help you out. Save yourself a lot of money just by being a little handy sometimes. But here we have two guys that were probably mid-40s, two guys in their probably mid-50s, and then the kid. These are construction workers, tradesmen, stuff like that. The one guy said he was a roofer and a drywaller, and he did some framing stuff, and that's why he wanted to come by that. And I said, "Well, how much are you paying for this thing, if you don't mind me asking?" It had the two big Hitachi tanks on it, the long ones with the double gauges, and then a big old, not the small Honda engine, it was a little bit bigger. And he said, the guy said he only wants $200 for it. I said, "You probably realize this thing's probably $400 or $500 in running good operating condition, right? More than that, brand new." And he said, "Oh yeah, that's why I was hoping that I could see this thing run before I bought it, because we set on $200. And I thought to myself, I'd be damned if I would have known that this guy was selling this thing. I would have went over there and bought it for $200 and turned around and sold it for $400 after I refurbished everything, cleaned everything, new spark plug, got everything running, cleaned out the fuel tank and stuff like that. I could have done all that stuff I like to tinker with. But I'm just glad that I was able to help somebody else and just show them just something simple, like maybe teach them something that they can use in the future. Thanks for listening, guys.